You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Keys to the City. I'm your host, Trevor Keys, alongside the big brother T3, Ted Keys, a.k.a. Papa Keys. We are we're coming up on now 50 hours away from 2023 NFL season. And if anything from what the college football week 1 season was like, then we're in for a treat as us football fans now have. Sorry, girlfriends. The men will be watching football until February. I know this is a tough time for some people to deal with because of the fact that Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays have become occupied due to the boys of fall returning. Like I said, college football delivered a huge weekend. Colorado, the talk of the college football world. I mean, I get it. TCU is a different team. They scored 45 points. They look great offensively. They still gave up 42. Let's see how they continue to reel off the big win for this team that was only one win last year. It was one of the worst teams in all of college football last year. And to see them, you got playmakers on that team. And then you have two top 10 teams going down, getting embarrassed too. LSU, Florida State, those Noles looking like they could be coming back after a long layoff of being mediocre. They might take over the reins of the best team in Florida, Ted. How do you feel about that? Because Miami's in the dumps, Florida's in the dumps. Florida State might be taking the reins as the best team in the Sunshine State now.
Long overdue for them.
Yeah, long overdue. Definitely a huge win over the LSU Tigers. And then last night on Labor Day, wow. I thought Duke was a basketball program. Well, maybe things are changing as that once proud team called the Clemson Tigers got embarrassed on Labor Day night against the Duke Blue Devils. Wow.
Well, if you get the quarterback right.
Well, that's true. And if you just have a better overall team, too. I mean, if you got the talent, if you got the belief, playing at home helps. Is a big way. It's a big part in winning football nowadays. But like I said, the week 1 of college football, huge success. Sorry for fantasy owners, too. Sad day. If you have Travis Kelce, looks like he is not going to be playing in week 1. So 50 hours away, we will not be getting possibly Chris Jones and Travis Kelce for the defending Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs. Wow. A lot has changed. A lot has happened in this. And think about it. It's only September 5th. And there's so much happening right now. And not just the college football world, but the NFL world. You're waiting on mega deals for superstar players. Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, Chris Jones, Nick Bosa, Brian Burns, and now Travis Kelce dealing with this injury. There's a lot going on in the NFL. And like I said, we're only 2 days away from the NFL season. A huge slate of games this weekend. Like, think about this. Chiefs. Lions got a lot to prove. The Chiefs, let's see what they do without Chris Jones and possibly Travis Kelce now. You get the Packers and Bears rivalry. 2 teams that are fighting for that NFC North. Dolphins and Chargers. Tua versus Herbert. They will always be side and side because of that 2020 draft. And then the Monday and Sunday night games, both in New York. Think about it. New York is going to be loud this weekend.
Well, also,
Sunday night, the Giants take on the Dallas Cowboys, the team that they cannot beat. Yeah. And then the Monday night game, the New York Jets take on the Buffalo Bills for a mega matchup on September 11th. So, Ted, think about this also. I was checking this out. This season, we'll have 14 2022 playoff rematches, most in history of the NFL. This includes a Super Bowl rematch. This includes both title game rematches. This also includes all AFC or all 4 divisional matchups rematches. And then you got 3 games from Wild Card Weekend. So you have a lot of great potential games. And if it's anything like 2022 was, we're in for another treat of a season.
Yeah.
But let's start off.
On ESPN, the highest expensive ticket right now is the Bears Green Bay game at $225.
There's a lot of there's a lot of great things going in that game. A lot of trash talking. They hate each other, and it's the change in the guard.
Well, San Francisco, Pittsburgh should be
that's another great game.
Knocker. Tennessee, New Orleans game. That's another huge game. New Orleans. You got Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill, DeAndre Hopkins back. You got Cincinnati and Cleveland. Now listen, this is Burrow's kryptonite. Browns are 5-1 in the last 3 seasons against the Bengals. So the Browns defense dominates Joe Burrow on that offense. And Joe Burrow, don't forget, he missed all preseason. He's still scheduled to start, right? You haven't read anything that so how is he going to perform Sunday against the Browns? Myles Garrett brought in Zadarius Smith should give Myles Garrett a lot more single coverage on the outside with the tackles. I think Myles Garrett is due for another huge year, possibly Defensive Player of the Year. Deshaun Watson, like here we go. Like there's no more Deshaun Watson like talk of last year's nonsense. I mean, it'll still always be a cloud in the sky over him, but let's see what the Browns, because the Browns are a huge question mark in that AFC. I think potentially they have just as good a roster as anyone in that conference and division. But we don't know. Like, are we going to get Deshaun Watson from 3 years ago where he was leading the league in pass yards and completion percentage and passer rating? Or are we going to get the Deshaun Watson last year where he looked like a guy that had not played in a year and a half? They have all the tools that that AFC is phenomenal.
But that's the thing too.
The AFC East, all 4 teams are possible playoff teams.
But that's the thing also. Not even in just going through like the matchups. There's a lot of matchups, a lot of teams.
Sure, you got the rookie quarterback start this weekend.
It's not even that. This could be a real great test for a lot of these teams that a lot of people have been praising throughout the offseason. Detroit Lions. I mean, no better chance on national TV in front of millions and millions of people to go against the defending champs on the road to see that this is everybody's darling, preseason darling. Then, like I said, the Dolphins made some big moves against the Chargers, also made some moves. So you get a true test of that. Those are 2 teams that you think are going to be playing each and every week like it's a playoff game. And then I'm just going to go through some of the Bills and Jets. The Jets, we already know. We don't really need to talk anything about the Jets because they've been talked about team in the entire offseason. You're playing against a perennial AFC power. Maybe they take a step back in the Bills, but you're still taking on the team that has been running your AFC East for the past couple of years. And then, like I said, also, Steelers playing the Niners. You're going to play one of the best in the NFC. Steelers. A lot of people like that.
2 great defenses versus 2 young quarterbacks.
A lot of people talk about the Steelers.
Pickett was the first quarterback taken last year, right?
Yeah. And then the most important,
you got the first quarterback versus the player who was taken last in the NFL draft.
And then also the big one that we've been talking about.
Let's start versus Nick Bosa.
Well, let's talk about it. Well, Nick Bosa doesn't look like he's going to be playing unless he gets a contract.
The Steelers are preparing for Nick Bosa to play.
Well, of course you got to prepare. You got to prepare for everybody. The Lions should prepare for Chris Jones and Travis Kelce to play, but don't know if they're going to actually play. Yes, prepare for everyone. You don't not prepare for people.
And of course, Sunday night we got to prove that we can win a primetime game.
Yes, and that's the final one, and that's how we're going to start off this 2023 preview show because there's a lot to talk about, but we're going to try to digest the important stuff. And what no better way to talk about it than the New York Football Giants. I just talked about teams that need a lot to prove. That includes the New York Football Giants on Sunday Night Football against a team that you have not beat in years. This team has been getting dominated by your arch rivals, your 2 arch rivals. Yeah, you might beat up on the Commanders, but that's fine. You guys have been battling out for 3rd and 4th place for years now. This is an Eagles and Cowboys division with the recent success. Now it's a lot of big moves that they made offseason, adding speed on the edge and their defense and on their offense. Now it's time to put it all together where you're coming off of a season where not many people predicted the New York Giants would be in the playoffs. Well, a year later, a lot of people are 50-50 on the Giants. Some people might love them to get back to the playoffs. Some people might think they take a step back. Well, it starts off week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys, Ted. Can they replicate the 2022, and I did write an article about a week ago about if the New York Giants can replicate their surprising 2022 season. Because nobody thought the Giants were going. The Giants were all full rebuild last year, got a new coach, new GM, and the Giants somehow made it to the Final Four in the NFC playoffs last year. What happens this year? Daniel Jones gets a big contract. They got Saquon back. They got Andrew Thomas locked up. They got Big Dex locked up. They added pieces. Darren Waller, Paris Campbell, Jalen Hyatt. The list goes on. Defensively, Deontay Banks. This is a new and improved team, but yes, they are led by the great Brian Dable. So, Tech, can the Giants replicate? I know we've been going on for 10 minutes already, and we really haven't even talked about the Giants yet. So let's dive in.
Well, we really haven't talked about anything.
But we have been because we haven't let's just say this. We haven't specifically talked about anything. We kind of been just like,
because there really
leading
is
up to it. There
really is a lot to digest, right? Like, we're not going to break down every team. We talked about this before. When we first started used to do this, we broke down every team and it was too much, right? for us personally with the Giants, it's important. It's important for us as Giant fans to get off to a hot start or a good start. You know what I mean? We
It's
don't
not
want to be
important.
0-2.
It's a must.
I mean, you
It's a
look at the
must.
Giants. You look at the Giants' schedule. The first 6 weeks are just as brutal as anyone else's. I think only the Jets maybe have a tougher schedule the first 6 weeks of the
But Ted,
season.
that's the thing. It's not even about
then,
the
of course,
schedule. It's not even about the schedule, Ted. It's about the fact that you have to first win your division, be successful. And the Giants were 1-4. The Giants were 1-4-1 last year, and you haven't beaten this team. You have to. This is a must win. I don't care if it's week 1. Must.
Well, of course, it's a must win. Listen, you're home. If you're going to get Dallas, let's get them early in the season. Where they've issues with Dak. They brought in Trey Lance. Like, that's all the conversation, which probably once the kickoff at 8:05 starts on Sunday, no one's going to really give a shit about any of that anyways. All right. You know what I mean? They brought in Brandon Cooks. They lost Dalton Schultz. They lost Zeke, but they got Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's coming off the injury, so we'll see. Zach Martin had some things. Listen, Dallas is going to be ready to rock. That's plain and simple. This is going to be a legit test. This Dallas team could be the best team in the NFC this year. They are that talented enough, offensively, defensively. We have question marks about their coaching and Dak, but let's be honest. This
not
team
having
is
Kellen Moore either.
This team is as good as anyone in the league, talent-wise. If Dak plays to where a lot of people think he could play to the potentially, they're a Super Bowl caliber team. They're one of the best teams in the NFC. Their defense is elite. They have talent all over the field. They're speed. They're fast. They got one of the best defensive players in Micah Parsons. They still have one of the best offensive lines. All right. CeeDee Lamb's a top 10 receiver in the league. Brandon Cooks, all he does since he's come in the league, like 7-8 years, he's got 1,000 yards. Right. Tony Pollard's explosive. Deuce Vaughn could be like a Darren Sproles, could be a nemesis for the Giants and a lot of teams in the NFC going forward. It's a legit test for the Giants, right? We talked about in the offseason, Daniel Jones got paid. Right. And a lot of people thought, oh, my God, $40 million. What the hell? How could they pay him this? When you look at it, when the scheme of everything, it's really not that big of a deal when you look at all the quarterbacks and what they're getting paid. Right. He's probably 12th paid right now. Once Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow and a couple other guys and Dak gets their renewals next year, he'll be 15th. And it'll be right exactly where he should be. And what happened? So for the Giants, it's okay. We know we have a legit left tackle. Can the rest of the offensive line and the moves that Joe Shane made in the offseason through the draft, will the offensive line improve? Because it must. This offensive line must be better in pass protection and must be better in run block. Hopefully Evan Neal takes that next step forward like Andrew Thomas did. Hopefully Daniel Jones builds off of an incredible season last year and proves to everyone else that he is worth the money, that he could be the carry guy. We know what Saquon could do. Potentially one of the best running backs in the league. You said it before, Trev. You brought in a lot of speed on the outside, can give us a lot of diversity with this offense, what Brian Daboll can do. And then honestly, maybe the most important for the player on the Giants offensively as a skill guy is Darren Waller. This guy has potentially offensive player of the year written on him. You know what I mean? That's what the Giants could make him. He could be a 90 to 100 catch guy. He could be a Travis Kelce guy.
Kafka's from the Chiefs.
So, and then you know what the defense should be. This time around, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, who's going to be healthy. Last year, he was not healthy in the beginning of the season. He had hamstring and some leg injuries. Remember, he got hurt in the preseason. He's going to be ready to go. Alicia Laurie, Leonard Williams, Dex, Deontay Banks, they drafted first round. This team is healthy. This is an important game, though. Seeing all those players and potentially it's a huge game for the Giants, right? It's a good a measuring stick for where this team is going to be. I get it, it's week 1, but we're always so close with this guy's game. Last year at home, we had an opportunity, we just couldn't close, right? And then Thanksgiving, we played them against Thanksgiving. We were playing with.
Yeah, we had no way. Everybody was injured.
When a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, okay? We had no one. We had no receivers. We were hurting. We did the best we could, and we still had a chance down the end. We just couldn't make the plays. This is a must-win for the Giants to be able to go 1-0 at home, win the divisional game. It's like a game and a half, right? You win the games at home. It's a division game. It's Dallas. It's an importance going forward. It sets a tone for the regular season, I think. I think just like that Titans game last year, man. I didn't have high hopes. I picked against the Giants last year. I thought they were going to lose. Oh, my God, it'll be typical Giants. I thought last season, the way that game went, to win that game, the way the Giants won, I thought set the tone for the rest of the season. If you look at the way the season went, the way that game was kind of a microcosm of how the Giants season went last year. 2-point play, Saquon breaking a play, star player. You know what I mean? That's
also stay tuned.
So to be able to win this game and then knowing that you can have Arizona week 2, I'm not saying there's no easy wins in the NFL, but a possible going 2-0 early in the season, which we have not seen and the Giants, I can't remember the last time the Giants went 2-0, would be a huge start for this team going forward, especially if we want to kind of bring back what we thought we had last year and make a playoff run and prove again that last year wasn't a phony season to us and to everyone else.
The Giants went 2-0 last year. Started 2-0 last year.
Well, listen, that's what it proves to me that I don't even remember it because it just doesn't seem like something that's normal. And you people are like, what type of Giant fan? You can't. No, I can't remember they're 2-0. I don't even know who the hell they played last year, week 2. No, they beat the Titans.
I was trying to think of honestly who they played in week 2. I don't know because I think they played Dallas. Did they play Dallas? Did they play Dallas in week 3 or was it week 2 of the Monday night game? I'm pretty sure.
No, it wasn't because they could have gone 2-0.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to think if they were 2-0. Maybe you could look it up while I'm talking. I think they went 2-0. For me personally, when I think of this Giant team, I mean, with the exception of Daniel Jones obviously being the most important, the two most important players for this New York Giant football team to be successful this year it's very simple. They were their 2 first-round draft picks last season, Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau. You win a lot of football games nowadays. I get it with great quarterback play, but you also win a lot of football games when you win inside the trenches. Evan Neal has to be that guy. I heard you, Carolina. Yes, so they did go 2-0, and then they lost to Dallas. Okay.
And then they lost to Dallas, and then they beat the Bears in Green Bay.
Yeah, so they were 4-1. No, they were 5-1. They beat Baltimore too. Then they beat Baltimore too. So what I was saying is, I know that quarterback play is without question the most important. Great coaching as well, but you always have to win inside the trenches. Evan Neal has to take that Andrew Thomas next step, which is getting to elite level. Last year, he had his struggles. He dealt with injuries. This year, he's lost weight. A lot of people, he's worked with Willie Anderson, former All-Pro. Remember where Willie Anderson played? College, yes. Not college, pros.
Yeah, Kansas City Chiefs, bro.
Okay. I was wondering. I was just making sure. I was just wondering. I just had to keep.
You're not talking to a normal football fan, though. Someone would say you can't remember the Giants were 2-0. No,
I got to keep you on your toes. But Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal. Evan Neal has to take that next step because you already, like you said, you got your left tackle shirt up. Looks like Michael Schmitz. It could be that great center the Giants have been missing since Sean O'Hare. And then hopefully if Evan Neal could take that next step, that will change everything for this running attack and just being able to give Daniel Jones that comfortability in the pocket to make throws. And even if he has to extend plays with his legs. And then Kayvon Thibodeau, you have to have that elite, like the Lions could sit here and be like, yeah, I think Aiden Hutchinson, I think he's going to be a stud. Kayvon Thibodeau has superstar potential, but he has to take that next step. He dealt with injury last year. Literally won us a game on the Sunday night game got us to a playoff, closer to a playoff bid against the Washington Commanders, but he has to take that next step, that elite pass rusher ability. He's got it all. He did it. He had it at Oregon. He never really got to see the full potential. Now with this coaching staff, another year under this system, those are to me the biggest, I would say, for them to be successful moving forward this year, it's going to have to be on the second-year players of Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal because they both play at 2 premier positions in the NFL. And if you win, other than without great coaching and a great quarterback play, you win football games. You win football games inside the trenches.
What was that, the 5th and 8th pick last year?
They were the 5th and 7th pick last year.
7, that's what I thought. So, yeah, absolutely. Listen, and here's the metric for us, bro. Like, if we're going to – because here, I'll be dead honest. I know we're probably talking about the 3 best teams and the teams that should be the front runners in the NFC are plain and simple. It's Dallas, Philly, and the 49ers. It's no one else after that. So who's going to take that next step? Is it the Seattle Seahawks? Is it the Detroit Lions? Or really is it the New York Giants? Those are the next 3 teams.
Minnesota Vikings.
I don't look at – stop. I don't think the Vikings. The
Giants were still a 13-win team last year.
That was phony crap.
I get it, but they still were 13.
Proved twice that the Giants should beat them, and they were a better team than the Vikings last year. They were a better team in Minnesota, and they were a better team again when they beat them in the playoffs.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that.
Plain and simple, if the Giants want to be competitive, it starts week 1 this Sunday at 8 o'clock. Can we win a primetime game? I don't think Daniel Jones'
history speaks that he's not great in primetime games. But his last primetime game, take away in a meaningful game, I guess. Take away the playoff game, but that was just. The Eagles were a machine
Sunday night
last
game
year.
Against Washington.
It was a Sunday night game, which he did have some great moments. But we'll have to see. Dallas is a different animal. That defense is going to be ferocious. You know, Micah Parsons. Where's 11 going to be? Where's 7 going to
That
be?
place is going to be rocking.
I mean, that place is going to be rock. Like I said, Sunday and Monday night will be rocking in MetLife Stadium. It will be. I mean, for a New York football fan right now, it's a great time to be a football fan because of the fact that take away baseball, just for these two franchises have been so bad for so long. To know that there's competency and there's excitement surrounding both of these teams. I mean, they've been getting talked about, these two teams, in the media for some time. The Jets for obvious reasons, and the Giants are starting. A lot of people are talking about the Giants for either are they going to take the next step or are they going to take a step back. It starts Monday. It starts Sunday night. This is the I don't care about week 2 through 17. This is the most important game of the season because
the video
if you start off
the Shannon and Stephen A. Smithing, was that good? Was it a good debate?
I didn't see it because I was sleeping.
I sent it to you.
I saw it, but what are they going to? Everybody's the same person.
Was it a good argument?
I don't consider Stephen A.
Who was rooting for the Giants?
It wasn't Shannon.
Really?
Yeah, he thinks the Giants are not going to make the playoffs, but that's fine. I mean, there
you go.
But this is what I was trying to say is
that's what you have most people thinking that the Giants on TV are not. Okay. Last year's season was a phony season. If you could beat Dallas week 1. You start to quiet the naysayers.
It's not even that. It's just it's not quieting the naysayers or anything. It's just a belief in your own time and that you now belong in a division.
It is quieting the naysayers.
It's not because it's one game. It's belief in your team now because
the Giants get spanked and they'll be like, exactly, here you go.
Okay, if they get spanked, then okay, I get it. But if they win, it's a belief for them. It's a confidence builder for them that, look, now we can compete in this division. This division that is
I think they already have that
division. But some people don't because they, like you just said, the Eagles, bam, they're up here. Dallas is like right under that.
Yeah, but in that
the Giants are in that group. If the Giants can come out and play their game on Sunday night against a very good defense in Dallas and a good offense and play their game and win and look impressive, that is a confidence booster and builder moving forward for the rest of the season, saying, hey, if we can beat them, we can beat anybody in this on our schedule. And that's how it has to be. That's why Sunday night football, this is a must win for the New York Giants. I don't care if it's week 1. This is a must win because it is a booster, a confidence builder for the season going forward. Speaking of the AFCs, we're just talking about the NFC East as one of the best conferences or divisions, I should say, one of the best divisions in football. But I think some people might say that the 2 best divisions in football reside in the AFC. Now, me personally, we haven't put our predictions out, but I do not have the Kansas City Chiefs coming out of the AFC. I will just say that. Who I have, you will have to find out because we'll be posting that before Thursday's opener. The 2 best divisions in football, hard to disagree with, is the AFC East and the AFC North. And to me, I think one of the teams are coming out of these 2 divisions. I don't see. I get it. Jacksonville. Everybody's high on Jacksonville right now, and their division is garbage, so they should be a runaway in that division.
I think it's too high.
And then you still got the Chiefs. Who are the Chiefs? Got Mahomes. You're gonna get Kelsey back. You're eventually gonna get Chris Jones signed up. They're gonna have him, so they're gonna run it back with those big 4 and Andy Reid. So they're not going anywhere. The Chargers, maybe, if they could stay healthy. But to me, this conference is going through one of these divisions. Now, who it's going to be, don't know, because you have legitimate. I'll take the Patriots out of the way. Move them.
And the Steelers. I would take the Steelers.
Realistically, you could have 7 to 8 teams competing, not just in, I'm not saying Super Bowl, AFC title game, even getting to the second weekend of the AFC playoffs. This is a division, these 2 divisions look like they can be the leaders in the AFC clubhouse.
You can have all 4 teams in the playoffs, and
that's what I'm saying. I don't think
it's ever been done.
No,
I think if there was a chance, I would give the AFC North the advantage of all 4 teams making the playoffs.
Yeah,
I like the Steelers better than the Patriots, but does Belichick have any tricks up the sleeve? Does he have any tricks up the sleeve?
Well, his tricks are running out if they can.
Tricks are for kids, though.
I sure do like tricks are for kids.
And
do they even make tricks?
Well, here's the thing. You look at the 4 quarterbacks. You just do it based on quarterbacks. Burrow, Josh Allen, Rodgers, Lamar, Deshaun, Tua, Pickett, and Mac Jones.
You probably have
Very
Pickett.
similar.
Maybe you probably have Pickett last, right?
I might take Pickett over Mac Jones. Pickett looked good in the preseason, bro.
I think
good.
I think Mac is going to get a better chance this season, especially knowing that he has
But
a competent Bill.
I like Pickett's weapons.
I get it, but having Bill O'Brien there is
Johnson
is going to be nice.
Pickens, Peppermuth, Najee Harris. I think they fixed the offensive line a little bit the offseason. I think they should be much more improved. Healthy TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick. They still got boys, bro.
So do you still? Would you take? So in the AFC, would you take the Chiefs, or would you take the field right now?
Oh, I take the field. That conference.
And realistically, it's probably coming from one of these divisions, right? Is the field these divisions?
Here's the thing. It depends on who's going to be the 1 seed, bro. The Chiefs have the advantage since Mahomes has been the quarterback. They've had number 1 seed.
But they got lucky in the
Kelsey hyperextended his knee today.
Yeah.
I don't know what this prognosis is, but probably
it looks like he's in doubt for a week.
Unlikely that he plays Thursday, so they miss him. Chris Jones, it doesn't matter if he signs, is not playing Thursday, and if he is, he is not in game shape.
No.
As I was listening to things before, a guy I think Bart Scott this morning was saying, he is not going to be ready for minimum 3 weeks. When people are like, "Oh, he's in,"
is that for all those guys though? Would you say the same for Bosa too?
Yeah, bro. Because even Bart Scott, there's a difference between being in shape and football shape.
And getting football,
you can slim run all you got damn well, please.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna make a difference until you're on the field, bro.
That's true.
And then what happens when guys miss time in the preseason? What happens all the time? Soft tissue injuries, hamstrings, things, that pulls, that. So Chris Jones already said he's willing to sit out till week 8.
That's freaking wild. That's just effing. That's effing wild to really sit out like half a season.
Bro, what if Big Bones is willing to sit out? Like, what if the back and forth those guys are thinking like, I'm not signing before the other guys?
Who do you think is more? I mean, maybe it's a dumb question to ask, but
I think
whose absence is more concern? Whose absence?
Chris Jones.
Is it just because of the fact that there's nobody else on that Chiefs defense?
Well, not to the level of him. He stands out. Now, listen, Bosa stands out on the defense, but there's studs all over that effing defense. They're stacked.
Yeah.
They have talent on all 3 levels. Mm-hmm. They have Armstead. They have Parrish. They have 2 legit, maybe the 2 best linebackers in football in Greenwall and Fred Warner. They have Tufanga. They have people on the outside, right? Then you look offensively, they have tackle in football and Trent Williams. They have one of the 2 best running backs. They have one of the most explosive players in Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. And then who knows the backups and guys that Kyle Shannon's going to be able to use. Brock Purdy. I mean, I think that's another question mark. Everyone just assumes that Brock Purdy's going to be able to just take what he did last year when he was 7-0 and just do that this year. It's going to be a different ballgame. Last year, he caught people by surprise because they weren't prepared for it. Remember, 2 guys had to get hurt last year. Trey Lance had to get hurt, and Jimmy G had to get hurt for him to play. So, we'll see what happens with that. We'll see how Brock Purdy comes back from the elbow injury, see how he does. Maybe Sam Darnold might be
So what you're saying, from what you've been hinting at, is that you like one of the teams in this division to come out in the AFC as well.
Well, here's what I'll say to this. If I'm a Bengal fan, I'm a little worried. Burrow hasn't played all preseason. He's had injuries before, okay, so he's not immune to injuries. Like the team
still hasn't got that contract
but
either.
There's question marks. My team that I love out of this division is the Ravens.
Me too.
The question will be, how does the offense with Todd Monken change, and how does it maybe take Lamar to another explosive level? Like we thought he was great before when he had an MVP. What does Lamar do now that it looks like Lamar said it's his offense? He's ready to rock and roll. He's good for 50 touchdowns this year. I'm thinking. I'm ready to
or also you got to just take into consideration.
You got Beckham. You got Bateman who drafted the first round.
Do you think both of these divisions? Do you think both of these divisions are just going to beat the hell out of each other because of the fact of how think about it. The AFC East. I mean, nobody knows who's coming. The Bills may be the favorite right now, but then you got the Jets.
Was missing the first 4 games.
I get it, but then you get
huge.
Then you get the Jets, who everybody's been enamored with this entire offseason. And then the Dolphins have a lot of weapons, but guess what? Their offensive line is putrid. If they haven't improved their offensive line, and they have a quarterback that's a hit away from getting.
But their defense is
good, but they still don't
have Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, the Patriots defense might be the best defense that nobody's talking about. Like, that's the thing. But because we're not talking, because they don't have Sauce Gardner, they don't have Quinnen Williams. Their one star that we can really think of right off the top of the head is Matthew Judon. They have one of the best defenses in football. They turn the ball over, they get to the quarterback. They'll be in games just because of their. They'll be in just games because of the fact that their defense.
I might take the other three defenses over the Patriots.
That's fine, but there might be just in games just because of the fact that their defense is that elite
and coaching.
And then the AFC North is always a bloodbath. You know this. I mean, the Battle of Ohio, you get Cincinnati and you get freaking the Browns. That's always
Steelers, Ravens.
And then Steelers, Ravens it speaks for itself. I mean, these teams are going to just beat the hell out of each other.
The Steelers crushed the Bengals week 1 last year. Remember Minka Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, I do. No, they didn't crush them. They went to overtime because it was one of the wildest endings ever. It was wild the way the game ended.
Oh, but
they kept missing field.
Were they crushing them?
No, they kept missing field goals. Like literally, McPherson and Boswell just kept missing field goals. They went to overtime. I think the Steelers ended up winning the game.
Boswell ended up hitting like on his 5th, maybe. Yeah, I mean, like here's the thing: if Deshaun is healthy and ready to rock, they brought in Elijah Moore from the Jets. They made a trade for him. Amari Cooper is still number 1. Let's see if David Njoku could ever stay healthy. They have one of the 5 best offensive lines in football. They have
They want a top 3 running back in football right now.
Look at it, the best running back in football, some people would say.
Best pure runner of a running back, the term running
really
back.
Really good defense.
Yeah.
Really good. The coaching might be a question. So, I mean, here's the thing. That's where, like, the Jaguars, if the Jaguars can find a way to put it together and take care of business, they could be the number 1 seed only by default because of how easy the division is. Where if they're not getting beat up, like the Bengals will be, like the Bills will be, like, and then you look at the West. Yes, the Chiefs should be the 1 seed, but they got issues of their own right now. I just saw Mahomes will have 7 receivers on Sunday or on Thursday. Half of them we won't even know. We don't even know. We never even heard of them. Kelsey's out, Chris Jones out. The Chargers are the biggest question mark. And something that you saw, potential can get you in trouble. Potentially, they're as good as anyone in that conference. They could be the number 1 seed. I think Herbert's going to have an explosive season this year with Kellen Moore.
That would be beautiful because that's my fantasy quarterback.
I mean, you look at the 3 receivers they have. If they can stay healthy, that's the problem. The nemesis is their injuries.
Yeah.
You look at last year, Matt gets hurt, Boza gets hurt, Derwin James.
But they also have an incompetent. They also have an incompetent head coach.
I know.
He should have been fired. He should have been fired years ago.
I mean, Eckler. You look at that team. Like that team offensively, just as explosive. You got 3 stud receivers. You got.
Yeah, but Ted, we said the same thing in 2007.
I know what I'm saying.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? I'm speaking.
This is just a franchise. Oh, I know. This is just a franchise as a whole, though. That's the thing. They've always always had talent.
I think a lot of people. I think you and me both. I think the Raiders won't be good. No. I think they'll try to be good potentially, but they won't be good.
They'll be looking for another head coach soon.
I bet Chandler Jones and Devontae Adams are on the trade deadline by October.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be one of the better trade deadlines possible in the history of the NFL because of the fact that your the 2 teams out, and not the Chargers, but the Rams and teams like the Raiders, teams that are going to be in rebuild mode. Maybe they move on from their star players.
If you're the Raiders next year, like potentially, if you're 1-4, do you sit Jimmy G? Let the backup go.
McDaniels needs to be let go.
And do you next year try to get Drake May or Caleb Williams at the 1 and 2 pick? To restart your franchise, because one of those 2 guys could, like with the Jaguars, getting that quarterback, like a guy like Trevor Lawrence, could set your franchise up for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, but unless they're not winning, unless they're winning like less than 2 games, then they're not going to be in the sweepstakes of Caleb Williams, because the Cardinals, realistically.
What happens if Caleb Williams says, and it was talked about this morning and talked about, I'll bring it up, bro, and I know this is not part of our show. What if Caleb Williams says, F you, I'm pulling the element, I'm not playing for you. I will sit out and go get a Nike deal or play somewhere else.
Then the Raiders would be like I think the Raiders would be the ideal.
What if
fit.
what if the Rams are the second pick or third pick, and he's like, I'm not playing for you, Arizona. I'm pulling John Elway
I
and
think
Eli
that would
Manning.
be.
I will
That
either
would
go
be
back to
idiotic of
USC.
him.
I
think
will either
that
go back.
I get it with the Cardinals. If he decided to pull like I don't want to go play for Arizona, I get it because Arizona doesn't. I mean, Arizona's not
now
enticing.
Arizona doesn't want to trade him.
But the Rams. I mean,
The Rams are always willing to give up first round picks. They were going to give
McVay. Okay, but if McVay stays around, and then Stafford is there for another year, at least he doesn't have to come in. And I mean, just think about it.
Trading Stafford.
Stafford has no value. He has no value.
Dallas Cowboys. He's a Texas-born kid. Dak's on his second contract.
Yeah.
Stafford goes to play for the Cowboys. Dak lets it go.
There you go.
Rams trade for the number 1 pick. They draft Caleb Williams. He stays out in LA. Arizona gets.
How are they getting the number 1 pick?
Trade up.
They're going to interdivision trade for the number 1 pick.
If Arizona's going to get 3 first-round picks plus all the
screw it, just go trade for Kyler then. If that's the case, just go trade for Kyler.
Well, I mean, here's the potential. Give you 2 first-round picks and Kyler. I mean, this is what's interesting because next year, I know this is off topic, but we talked about it beforehand. The quarterback class coming into this draft, and I'm not trying to skip through the season, but there's possible 6 first-round quarterbacks next year. And then what happens with Kyler next year with Arizona if they're awful? What happens with Stafford? He's been beat up, injuries. What do the Rams move on from and fully rebuild? Do they trade Donald? Like, what if the Rams are awful? Aaron Donald could be on the trade deadline. Matthew Stafford. Like, you're talking about like teams that could be potential. What happens with Dak? Like, Dallas is signing everyone else but Dak. Like, you just start to ponder what the offseason, I mean, what could be like with things. But that's why the first games of the season set the tone of things. Last year, like, wow, the Rams looked bad last year. The Bills came in and spanked them.
And that was a telling sign because that's exactly how the rest of the year played out for that Rams team because everybody bought into, and us included, thought that the Rams would be one of those contenders in the NFC, and they were far from it. And they were in more of a rebuild mode and a disaster than they were looking for success.
Do you think the Jets have bust written on them? You think the Jets have bust? You think the Jets have bust written on them?
Yeah, of course, because their offensive line is awful. They're relying on a 38-year-old left tackle. They're relying on a guy can't really take care of his weight in Mekhi Becton, a guy that's hasn't lived up to his first round pick. And I get it. You're getting Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers will be Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers is also coming off of his worst season.
Can you imagine they go over
the past 10 years?
They play the Bills in Dallas. Week
their defense alone will keep them. Their defense alone will win them a lot of games. Their offense, you have potential. You have Garrett Wilson, who has the potential to be one of the top 5 receivers by the end of the year. And then, like I said, your running back situation, you got Dalvin. Breece Hall is going to come back. It just comes down to, like I said, with the Giants. If their offensive line is awful, it's going to be a long season. And then once they start, and they have a tough schedule out of the gate. So if they start off poor, and we've seen Rodgers complain a lot and bitch. So if he gets like that, you know how that could be a problem.
If they go
and he's in New York.
Matt, they lose the Bills at home and then lose to Dallas, and they start 0-2. There is going to be a panic attack.
It's a possibility.
On the New York Jets sideline.
It's not out of the question.
Oh, absolutely not. Because now everyone's screaming, and God forbid, like Rodgers gets beat up the first 2 weeks because the offensive line can't hold up, and the defense is playing well. Who are they calling for an offensive tackle?
Personally, I don't really. I really don't care about I don't really care about the Jets because of all the shit they've been spewing this whole offseason of saying, especially now DJ Reed, the latest compadre in that, saying we could have one of the all-time great defenses. Let's pump the brakes. Like, let's just relax and just play the game. This is why teams like the Jets and the Cowboys, always find themselves.
Potentially, the Bills and Cowboys could be in the Super Bowl. Those could be the Super Bowl.
I get it. I'm saying my point. My point is that there's always these teams. There's always these teams that always come out and spew nonsense and always talking and always just like. And there's a reason why at the end of the season people laugh at you and you're a meme and people are laughing at you as you're a I guess, a comedy act because of the fact that you just continue to just talk and talk and talk. Just go out and play the game, man. Like, why do you have to say anything?
The hype behind them has been.
I get it, and that's why the pressure is on.
There is. We could talk about each individual team for 45 minutes, just storylines. I mean, I know you don't even care, and I'm not just bringing it up as just a talking point that would be a conversation, but like the Denver situation with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, like I know that kind of gets pushed down the line of storylines because there's so many. You know what I mean? The Chiefs storyline is their best defensive player is holding out, which drastically affects this team. You know, you have the Tua injury situation. One concussion, like, is he done for the season? How long does he sit out? Like,
it's not for the season, bro. It'd be for his career because he's got like 5 concussions.
You know, like
you can't play. You can't continue to play when you're getting concussions.
What happens with that? Right. You know, like Lamar now, like right coming back off injury, you got paid. Herbert got paid. Like you're now, like Lamar, you got to start winning playoff games. Herbert, you got to get into the playoffs. Like Jets. Everyone's already crowning you champs and you haven't won anything. The Bills are probably looking like these guys have been a joke for like 25 years. All of a sudden they want to be hype train.
They've been a joke since 1969.
So you potentially in the AFC, there's so many storylines. That's why every week in the AFC is going to be potentially every game is going to be so much. Cool.
It's AFC. The AFC this year will be must watch, like it's been the past couple of years. Let's finish off with the little brother in the NFL right now, the NFC, because the NFC has not been talked about. It's all been about the AFC and who's going to be.
Because of the quarterbacks.
Is it going to be the Chiefs repeating? It's not even that. It's just the talent that's in the AFC is just exponentially.
Dude, it's the quarterback.
Great. I get it, but the talent as well. Add the talent to it. It's just exponentially greater than teams in the NFC. Yeah. I mean, realistically, it's so top heavy. All we've been talking about, are the Jags going to take a super step? Are the Chiefs going to repeat? Can the Chargers finally get over the hump? The Jets with the big moves, can they do it? All we've been hearing is everything about the AFC with the big contracts too. And then we get over to the NFC and it's like, oh, well, we already know it's going to probably either be the Niners or the Eagles, or Cowboys. Is it someone else coming out of the NFC?
You got to put the Cowboys in that conversation.
I don't have to do anything.
Talent-wise, they're as good as the Eagles.
Yeah, talent-wise, every year they're like that.
But they're probably going to get to the playoffs. They're the third best.
So they get to the playoffs.
Yeah,
but that's not the expectation anymore for Dallas.
They're the third best team.
But Dallas' expectations are like the Yankees.
I get it, but they're the third best team in the conference.
Okay, I understand this. I'm agreeing.
No one is looking at anyone else.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. What I'm trying to say is we get the same narrative every year from the Dallas Cowboys. Their talent is unbelievable. We get it. It's every year.
The NFC was also much more stacked.
Oh, so it should be a lot easier for the Dallas Cowboys to be playing on Super Bowl Sunday than this year.
Potentially be a number 1 seed and get to the Super Bowl.
Well, what was the excuse? What was the difference last year? Because the same thing happened in the NFC last year, because the NFC was pretty much a 2-team race. You never bought into anybody else's hype other than the Niners and the Eagles. You didn't buy into Seattle. They were a great story. You didn't buy in the Giants. They were a great story. You didn't buy in the Vikings, even though they were a 13-win team. You didn't trust them. And then you had the Dallas Cowboys. What was the excuse last year? Nothing. There's no. They lost to a 7th, and I get it. Brock Purdy was an incredible story last year. But
you think you're better team this year, though?
No, I don't. I think they're older. I get it. They added Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks will be a nice number 2. But Brandon Cooks has a lot of injuries, too. I get it. He gets 1,000 yards a season somehow, even with all the injuries. But I'm not going to bank on Brandon Cooks being my...
Well, you get 1,000 yards for 7 straight years. You can bank on that.
Okay. Yeah, you can bank on that. But I'm not going to say...
Michael Gallup is number 3.
And then I get it. They also got Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore's a year older. Like, this is not 20...
matter, bro. He was one of the best corners last year. He
was all right. He was all right. He was all right. He wasn't like... He was all right.
He was one of the top 5 cornerbacks last year. He was
we're talking like he's 2018 Stephon Gilmore.
He's 5 years later. Though.
Okay, I get it, but he's not
compared to what they had.
You
still got Diggs, who's high risk, high reward. Right, the guy makes plays, but you also can beat him deep.
My point is that they had no excuse last year.
DeMarcus Lawrence, they drafted the D tackle. What's his name?
Mozzie Smith.
But also, here's my thing.
Here's the thing. They have an average quarterback. They're not going to win a Super Bowl with
No,
an average.
average is where the Kirk Cousins level is. I think he's
Okay,
better than
he's
Kirk
literally at the Kirk Cousins line, bro.
Cousins. He's above
There's
Kirk Cousins.
okay, so Kirk Cousins is 12 or 13. Dak Prescott is 11 or 10 or
10.
11. Okay, so what's the difference? If he was 6 or 7, okay, I get it. There's a difference.
Here's the thing, though. Potentially, Dak could be 5 or 6. Kirk Cousins can't be.
Dak potentially could be 5 and 6.
Yes, Dak has the potential, bro, absolutely to be that good. His numbers could speak. If take away the picks, he potentially could be some bad throws. And don't forget, we talked about this with Eli Manning. We used to do it. We blame the quarterback for the picks, but tips. Guy drops the ball. It's not his fault. If he hits him in the hands,
this is what he was in college too. He was incredible in college.
Great ball though.
Great college.
Eli Manning would put the ball on the day.
All I'm trying to say is Dak was the same way in college. He had great stats too.
Never. Well, that's why I think
win an SEC championship or can never win.
All right. Well, that's why I'm saying before when we talked about pressure players, when one of the topics we did a show about a month ago, when we talked, Dak Prescott should have the most pressure in the NFC of any player, without question or doubt, and shouldn't even be close. Sorry, number 1 overall in the league should be Aaron Rodgers because of the hype train.
Yeah, of course.
Number 2 should be Dak. He's on a contract year.
I had Fields. I think Fields would be right in that conversation too.
Dak more so. He plays
if Fields shits the bed, guess what? They could be moving on from him.
All right, whatever. Fields get another job. Dak
as a backup, he's going to be a perennial. Once you lose, it's like breaking up with the next. Once you break up with them the first time, there's no reason of going back to him, and you know what the best is. That's what it is. If Justin Fields saved, and I don't think he's going to, but if Justin Fields struggled, and guess what, they had to move on. Who's going to be like, let's take
49ers will bring him in next season.
Let's take him, and then be like his career is going to rejuvenate.
Purdy will get hurt. He'll take over Darnold's role. Purdy will get hurt, and then they'll be the.
I mean, the Bears have given him some pieces.
I know. But Dak is on a whole nother level because it's supposed to be Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's Dallas. I get it.
And he's been there for what? 8 years? 7, 8 years?
But
this might be the best Dallas team since he started his rookie season.
Oh, here we go with this. I've heard that too.
But this is probably the best team since his rookie season when they went 12-4. And then it was Rodgers, right? In Green Bay, they lost.
Yeah.
We watched it on Uncle Ed's house, right? That was the 12-4 team?
Yeah.
Was that the team with Zeke and all them?
Yeah. They lost in the divisional round. They were the number 1 seed that year.
If Dak plays better last year, Dallas should have beat the 49ers. Dak did not play well enough. Bad throws, picks. Yeah. He had CeeDee Lamb down the sidelines. If he throws,
he's not a good enough quarterback.
Well, he's got to play better. And here's
when your owner decides to go trade for a guy that just no reason needed to do it at all. No. And then on top of it, they haven't said anything of extension yet. I know they've talked about it.
Well, they just re-signed Steele, the right tackle, for $70
million. Yeah, and then they're going to have to go sign Parsons. They're going to have to sign CD as well. Yeah, both. They're going to sign Parsons to a massive deal. They're going to sign CD, who's going to get the 22 to 23 million per year that receivers are getting.
So you might not be able to pay a quarterback, so you might have to be a rookie quarterback like.
Dak Prescott is what he is. I've seen enough to know.
That's why I'm saying, Trev.
I get it. I've seen enough to say this be like. There's just no.
He's going to want $50 to $55 million a year. You're talking 4 years, $200 million minimum deal. What Dak's going to be looking for as an extension. Just that's the nature of the ball game.
That's why
he's not worth $50 million. No. We know that.
And that's why I say about like Daniel Jones, like I want to wait for Daniel Jones because of the fact that like people will be like, we know what Daniel Jones is quickly. Not necessarily. That's like half true, but half wrong because of the fact of let's see what Daniel Jones can do in Brian Daboll's second season with the same system. We got to also think about that. Like he's had a different system each and every year, different head coaches, different offensive coordinators. So he's always thinking and everything's got to be processed differently each and every year. Now he's getting the second season. Let's see if Daniel Jones could take that next step. Dak, I think that's going to hurt Dak too, is that Kellen Moore is gone.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, Kellen Moore's gone. So McCarthy's going to be running the offense. And if there's one thing that I really, if you're a Dallas fan and you are banking on this team to be great, you're going to rely on Mike McCarthy. We've seen him.
I thought he was a pretty good play for Green Bay.
Yeah, when you have Aaron Rodgers, a lot of things get cleared up. When you have an elite level quarterback, a Hall of Fame, like Dak Prescott's not an elite level quarterback. I'm sorry, he's not. He might be in the top 10, top 12 quarterbacks. He's not elite. So, like, Aaron Rodgers erases a lot of those, miscues. Dak Prescott makes you realize, oh, shit, well, there's more problems than we actually have. So, to me, right now, it's a two-team race in the NFC. I get it. People are like, Dallas, you got to put them. They're so talented. We'll see. We get it every year. It's the same freaking thing. They're going to be great. Will they win 10, 11, 12 games?
Yes.
It may very well be the case, yes. Of course.
Only way they don't if Dak gets hurt.
I mean, they did pretty well when Dak was out last year.
That's where the Giants have to be. You figure the Eagles, listen, they lost their 2 offensive coordinators. They'll probably take a step back. 2
offensive coordinators?
I meant the 2 coordinators. I say offense, I meant offense and defense coordinator. Meant to say
I think Steichen's going to be a bigger loss than people realize.
The offense, yeah. That defense is still going to be stout.
You know who their offensive coordinator is?
I forgot.
The Eagles, Brian Johnson. Do you know where he's from? Do you remember where he's from?
Brian Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
Was he a player?
Yeah, he was a quarterback in college.
Brian Johnson?
He played for the Utah Utes team that went undefeated and beat Bama.
The black kid that was number 3.
In the Sugar Bowl.
Yes, I remember him. Really?
Yeah. He was the quarterback.
Did you see
for
the
that
Ravens
team.
are the only team to have all 3 quarterbacks were African American,
and then their coaching staff too, which is
coach staff, that quarterback coach. That's great. That's great to see.
Huntley's not a bad backup. Josh Johnson. I mean, he's been in every team.
He's been everywhere.
And then you got one of the best in the game in Lamar. So
yeah.
Right now, for me, the AFC wide open. I see the AFC coming down into the AFC East and the AFC North. I think that the Chiefs are going to have. I mean, Kelsey should be back within a week or two. I think
for the first time, they're not going to be the 1 seed.
We said that last year too. They lose Tyreek Hill, and they were the 1 seed, and they won the whole effing thing.
This year feels different.
And we said that. I'm just going to say that we said that last year, but you could be right. Last year's AFC was wild. Somehow the Chiefs still got there, and they still won another Super Bowl.
Of course. And then you got the Bills, which potentially this is a make or break year for them because, like, we've been on the hype train.
It's a make or break for the franchise.
I get it. Everyone else has been on the hype train for the Bills last year. Like last year, the Bills were supposed to be. They were the pick. They were the pick last year. Yeah. I don't know who the pick is this year. I haven't heard anyone say like there's that one team. No one's really
Bengals,
said.
Ravens, Eagles, Niners,
Chiefs. Yeah, but there's no, like last year. Last year, everyone had the Bills as the number 1 team last year.
Yeah.
All right.
And then it just made it even. And think about it after the week 1 game too.
And now don't forget Josh Allen's the Madden cover guy, which is are some jinxes in the. And here's the other thing we have mentioned multiple times on the show is Josh Allen's salary cap hit jumps huge next year, the percentage wise on the Bills next year. So the players that are currently on this team will no longer be on this team. They're going to have to make some drastic moves. So it's really important. We've seen it before. Russell Wilson and the other win early.
And maybe this is the best thing that could have happened to the Bills because all we've been talking about is the New York Jets. Last year we were talking about the Buffalo Bills throughout the entire offseason. All the pressure was on them to win. Maybe this year they take the load, but maybe the load goes off, I guess. It takes off the pressure a little because now the Jets it's all about the Jets, the Dolphins, but nobody's talking about the Bills. People think the Bills are going to take a step back. Maybe it's not the worst thing. Just gonna say that. Did you? Huh?
No, I was just gonna say every week in and week out. Not that it isn't, but more so this year because of the AFC, like because of the quarterbacks and the teams and everything. Every game is gonna seem like a huge game.
Yeah, of course. And then the NFC, the NFC is just going to be. Well, yeah, is it going to be Philly against the Niners? That's really.
And then you're going to have those games where like C.J. Stroud versus Anthony Richardson, the 2 rookies. Bryce Young. Yeah. All 3 rookies are starting this week, so we'll see how they, potentially play. Yeah. And then you got guys like Jonathan Taylor sitting out, Brian Burns, Nick Bosa, Chris Jones, Chandler Jones just came out and said some.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to. He looks like he wants out.
Devontae said some weird things, or when I was Vegas, like. What potentially could happen in the season is
Yeah, the AFC is going to be wild. The NFC looks like it's a 2-team race. That's why I'm not going to go with the field in the NFC. I'll go with the obvious choices right now. It could change drastically. You got to just see how it plays out. And the AFC, like Ted said, is a week-by-week decision basis, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, like I said, 2 days away.
Yeah, because everyone's jumping on the Jaguars like, hey, the Jaguars. I'm like,
just because of the division's awful, they added some pieces,
bro. Their defense isn't that great. All right, and
they expect Trevor Lawrence to take that next superstar tag.
Hopefully, he gets protected on the offensive line.
Agree.
Because that's another issue. And and people forget the Titans are no slouch, man. Vrabel's a great coach. Always gets them. Tannehill knows he's kind of playing for his career, his season. Potentially this could be his last season as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Derrick Henry's on the last year of his contract. DeAndre Hopkins, kind of like no one really wanted him, kind of like a 1 year, 2 year deal. So like that's a team where like can maybe sneak as a 1 seed.
Yeah.
Like could they steal the show? Be one of those underrated teams this year? Like last year was a down year, a lot of injuries. Maybe take that next step forward. Who knows? I mean, we'll see. It should be. It's all going to be. I texted Pat. I'm like, bro, I am pumped for Sunday, bro. Like the Sunday games, bro. Like Giants,
I know Sunday's going to be fun. I get it. Sunday's going to be fun. I care about is
let's see the 1 o'clock.
I just care about the 8:20 game. I care about the 8:20 game. It's a must.
Cincinnati, Cleveland, excited for. San Francisco, Pittsburgh, super pumped.
All right, you can look at the schedule. We're signing off as Ted reads his schedule.
Jerk.
So Ted can remember his schedule because he doesn't remember
what he
did yesterday.
Upset alert: New England over Philly on Sunday.
Wow, the spread's only 4, which is a little.
Tom Brady returns, I believe. I believe he returns this Sunday for his jersey retirement.
Yeah, I think he's returning to play.
Can he play receiver?
Oh yeah, that's just what he's going to do.
The Rams, Seattle. Let's see.
Who cares about that game?
Well, it was a division rival.
The Sunday and Monday night games, baby. New York's the big city. The Big Apple is going to be loud this weekend. Loud and proud.
Hey, do New York's go 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2?
Oh no, the Giants are winning. The Jets are losing.
You just jinxed us.
I'm gonna predict. Oh, I always got to go with the. Come on, you think I'm picking Dallas?
Pick Dallas and Bills.
Go ahead, pick them. That's fine. I'm picking the Giants.
I am.
I'm picking the Giants, and the Jets are going to lose every week in my book.
But Garrett Wilson's going to have 10 catches, 170 yards every week and 2 touchdowns. Lamar's going to have 50. Oh, and one other thing. Jack Curry tried to offer me a trade already. He's already offered me a trade. What have you been talking to him? He tried to offer me J.K. Dobbins for Odell.
Yeah, he wants Mike Evans. I said no. Negative.
Dude, first of all, I'm not trading Odell for a running back when I already have like 4 running backs. Okay,
I don't need. I don't.
And when they rotate like Gus Edwards and other guys now. And second of all, Odell could be a potential great flex player for me.
Like I would have just said.
And I got Lamar. And I got bro. No way.
I would have just said, hey, should have never drafted him. That's all.
You traded me back for Odell in a league where.
I mean, we got to talk because I'm still talking with you.
Yeah,
we
haven't even started week 1. We're talking fantasy trades.
I'm trying to talk to you. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, man to man, on the screen right now. I'm talking to you. I want to try to make a trade.
You're not getting Darren Waller right now.
I don't want Darren Waller. I want G. Will.
You're not getting.
Give me him. I'll trade you AJ Brown. He froze, so I don't know his reaction right now. I'll trade you AJ Brown. I'll have the Ohio State boys with Chase. Give me that all
Do I look good, man? Did I get some nice tan today?
Yeah, you got some color. Good for you.
You look white.
I'm not white. I'm tan, bro.
Maybe
It's my light. My light. I have a light on. Yeah, my light.
Get some rest. Your eyes look tired. You got
I can't really go to rest. I have to go to work.
You need to get as much rest as possible for next Thursday.
I'm not going to be able to, bro.
Rest.
I can't. How am I going to be able to? I got to work tonight. I got to work tomorrow night. I got to work Thursday.
You act like you're working more.
I got to work. Oh no, I know, but my schedule is worse than you.
Oh, we got Minnesota and Philly next week. All right.
I got to work Friday. I got to work Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
You want to know my schedule?
Yeah, I know, Ted. We do the same thing, but you don't get up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, but I'm working 16-hour shifts.
Yeah, and what do you do?
And we're off.
And done. You ran right into that, bro. I'm sorry. You ran into that one, G. Yeah, I mean, we're here. I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's September.
Did you click the show end?
No, we're still. I'm just viewing right now. I can't believe it's September.
End.
Okay. You're trying to end me. I was just trying to close out. He's trying to get the hour. That's why he doesn't want to get an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, we're Keys to the City. We will see you next episode. Enjoy some football. The boys are full return Thursday. We're right here. See you next time. We out.
You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.